Um, yeah, we do have a rough agenda. So first of all, we will speak about a few updates at Minima, and then we will have a community member of the month on stage with us to share a bit more about what got them into the world of Minima. Um, and after that, we will discuss the broader markets, and that's also the point at which you can raise your hand at any time and join us on stage, ask things, or just enter the discussion. Just for your information, if you do join us, this call is being recorded. So if you speak up, you will be on the recording as well. Something to be aware of. And yeah, with that being said, thanks everyone for joining us today. And let's kick it off. Just a quick, for those who don't know who we are, I'm Naomi. I'm the social media manager at Minima, and I'm joined by our head of community, Luke, and Jasmine, our technical communications manager. All right. So let's start with the updates. Luke, what have you been working on this last month?
Good afternoon, everybody. So, in the last month, I've been working with the tech team on the next phase of our delivery plan. We've been working with the commercial team on partnerships to increase our reach with communities all over the globe. We've got some exciting stuff going on there. We've been improving the onboarding process for new users on Discord to make it a bit easier to find your way around and pick up roles, which will play a part in future sort of community initiatives. And also, we're getting ready for a pre-release of our next version of Minima to the ambassadors, but we'll talk more about that later.
All right. How about you, Jasmine?
Yeah, hi everyone. So I'm happy to announce that you may have seen a new team member in the channels, and I've been onboarding Neo to the Minima team, a new community manager, and we're very excited to have him on board. He's very much a Discord whiz as well, so that's always a welcome addition. And I think we'll get him to talk a little bit later, but we've been working on an education journey for the community. So teaching people, who may not be so familiar with blockchain technology, how to kind of get started and just kind of work their way up through a foundation level of knowledge, all the way up to a minima professional.
All right, awesome. Yeah, I think this is as good as time as any to get Neo on stage, so maybe he can share a few more things on how he got here and what you've been working on together, because obviously education is like one of the cornerstones of getting this thing started, especially in a crap season as the moment, markets trading sideways. All right, let me just get Neo on stage and oh, all right. Hello, Neo.
Hello.
Great to
Um,
have you here as our newest addition to the community team. Um, so could you just share maybe how you got to Minima and what you've been working before and yeah.
well, hello everyone. So my story before Minima is a little weird, maybe familiar to some of you. I helped around at Pi Network on the moderation team in the early days. And I don't know, I stayed around for about a year and a half. And then I joined a group chat with a person who was very interested in my profile, who then linked me to meet Luke. And when I read about Minima's vision, the work behind it, um, I was like, this is interesting because I had been offered a role to contribute to the community. And now here I am working with, everybody, but mainly with Jasmine on, as she said, the educational / foundation thing that we're working on with blockchain technology. And it should be done soon. So we're looking forward to, showing that to everyone.
Very Exciting. I think ambassadors and others have also brought up the idea of doing more quizzes and education, so definitely something to look forward for. On that note, how did you learn about blockchain?
How did I learn about blockchain? Well,
Yeah.
I joined the whole crypto world was really introduced to me when I joined Pi, and the
Mhm.
issue with that project was that you know, it was just Pi. There was nothing else. They were never mentioning anything else. So I didn't really I didn't really know that there were more things to cryptocurrency than what I know now. Um, and along the road, I just taught myself and I met people, and here I am.
Yeah, I think that's the experience for a lot of people. I mean, when I got into the space, I was kind of turned into a Bitcoin maxi, and then later on, I experienced, oh, Ethereum has a lot of cool stuff. And yeah, so you
Yeah,
just
exactly.
evolve as you go. All right. So yeah, this is a question I ask everybody here anyway, so you're going to be asked as well. What would you build if you could build anything on Minima?
Um, that's a good question. I don't really have time to think about it. I think the first thing that's coming to mind if you ask me to build something on Minima is marketplace,
Mhm.
decentralized marketplace. Um, but maybe if I had time to think about it, I'd find something else. But yeah, at the moment it'd be marketplace, most likely NFT marketplace.
Mm, pretty cool. I mean, it's definitely needed.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then thank you so much for sharing some more on your journey. And yeah, I'm sure the community will see you around quite a bit in the Discord server. Any
Yeah,
Discord
absolutely.
questions? Neo is there to answer them.
Yeah. Thank you,
And don't be
Naomi.
shy. Thank you very much. Okay. So yeah, today is the day of us getting people on stage, and obviously our community is one of the most, if not the most important cornerstones of what makes Minima. And so we have a community member each month that stood out, and this month it is Montreal, who has been writing a really nice blog post about Minima. Not sure if you've read it, but it's called An Ode or a Note to Minima. And we have him with us today so he can share a bit more on what he's been doing, how he got involved, and more. All right. Hello, Montreal. That worked like a charm. Here you are with us on stage. Welcome.
Hello, gang. Thank you.
Hello,
Thank you very
welcome.
much. All right. So, congratulations. You're our community member of the month. And I think everybody here really enjoyed the blog post you wrote about Minima. But yeah, for everybody else who hasn't interacted with you before, could you just quickly tell us about yourself and how you found out about Minima?
Yes, I've got a background in economics, which was always really interesting to me. And when I went to learn about economics, I realized that we do it really, really badly. We also teach it really badly. Um, I currently work in renewable energy, trying to create new systems to help people invest in renewable infrastructure. Um, Energy, as I'm sure lots of people know, a bit like money and economics, is in a bit of a crisis mode. And as luck would have it, I think decentralization is probably the way out. So people creating their own energy and then consuming their own energy. And it's just about becoming possible for that to be worthwhile. Um, I'm really intrigued by how we can do things differently on a properly global scale. Um, I'm really interested in anarchy. I'm not a full-on anarchist, I wouldn't say, but I'm interested in just radically different ways of doing things because I think that's what we need. Um, Minima. I had a job where I was working with early stage tech startups, and in 2019, I was really lucky enough to speak to Hugo, who's the CEO of Minima. just as part of a sales call, essentially. Minima was just an idea then. If I'm honest, to me it sounded too good to be true. So I was able to, as I did with all the founders that I spoke to in that job, I was able to quiz him on how it worked or how it was supposed to work, why no one was already doing it, which was always one of my key questions. And I had him on the phone for about 40 minutes, an hour, and it was amazing. By the end of it, I thought, okay, this could actually be something. So I stayed really interested. I followed Minima incredibly closely. From then, I was even part of the initial Telegram group. I think when it probably had about maybe 30 or 40 members. So I've been
We
around
should
for a while.
award you the OG badge, I think. Doesn't get more OG than the first 100.
So yeah, that's my Minima story so far, I suppose. And I've just become more and more excited by it as we've reached, I guess, as we've got closer and closer to it becoming a reality and further away from it just being an idea.
Yeah, for sure. We've come a long way since 2019.
For sure.
On that note, have you previously been involved in the crypto and blockchain space? And if
Kind of,
yes,
and not really. I was in a really annoying, really annoying way. No one ever tells you the stories of when they failed to become a millionaire. But I was using Bitcoin to pay for things on Silk Road from around 2012. And I've worked out if I'd have invested that all in Bitcoin instead of spending it all on illicit goods, I'd probably be a millionaire by now. And then I started investing a little bit around 2016, but not enough to make me a millionaire still. And I didn't really have, if I'm honest, I didn't have much interest or understanding or knowledge about the philosophy or the history of blockchain or cryptocurrency or Bitcoin. I started becoming much more interested in all of that around when I discovered Minima. I became more interested in the cypherpunk movement and the anarchic elements of blockchain and the possibilities that I think true decentralization can actually bring us. I think we do lots of things really badly as a society, or maybe even as a species. And I don't think that's we don't do that on purpose. I think just we've got some really terrible systems. And I think we need the kind of change that's probably not going to come from traditional systems of authority and politics. I think my parents' generation would have seen change as something that comes from, applying to be an MP or to go into traditional politics. And I don't think that's actually where real change is going to come from. I think most politicians don't understand inflation or debt or economics. They're working on really small timescales, like 4 years, where they have to try and prove that they're able to make changes. They're just in not very well designed systems, I would say. And the reason that blockchain, or more specifically Minima, is really exciting to me is I think it might be an amazing tool for a kind of grassroots change that's not top down but bottom up. Yeah, I think that's what's brought me more into blockchain. It's can it actually change something fundamentally? That's
yeah,
not
I mean,
just a
it's
top
this,
down change.
yeah, it's the idea of giving power to the people, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. On that note, well, no pun intended. If you could build anything or do anything with Minima, what would it be?
I'm actually half working on something at the moment. I mean, I have a job, so I can't put as much time into this as I would like. But I This sounds
Well, maybe you
ridiculous when
will
I say it,
find
but
some co-conspirators here.
well,
So
exactly.
if you
Yeah,
share it now.
exactly. It's partly why I like the idea of coming on and speaking to whoever was listening. I'm kind of obsessed with changing economics through changing money. I don't think Bitcoin's been successful, and I think even if Minima is successful in doing this, there'll need to be an interim period where something that's a little bit like a stable coin, something that's a little bit like what Facebook tried to do with Libra and Diem, but failed because they're Facebook and are essentially evil. I think if some kind of properly asset-backed stable coin with its own system of economics built into it could be built, that's what I'd like to build. So it'd be a kind of money for the 99%, a way of interacting outside of the current system of global financialized economics. One thing that's incredibly interesting to me, because I work in renewable energy and I'm interested in money and privacy, and relocalization, would be a currency backed by kilowatt hours, so renewable energy, redeemable for renewable energy. Um, Not my idea. It's been posited before, but I think it's never been possible before, and I think Minimum might actually make it possible, which is something that's incredibly exciting to me. I've just finished reading a great book called Cloud Money by a man called Brett Scott. Highly recommended. And since I started reading that, I now only use cash because I want to be as far away from bank money as I can be. So I take cash out and use that instead.
Well,
So that's what I would
technically
build
it's
on
also
Minima.
bank money, but at least it's not traced as much. Which I
Well,
think people tend to forget, right? Everybody is cashless, is so convenient. Yes, but
yeah, it's. Did you say that cash is also bank money? Did you say that, or did I mishear you?
well, it's kind of associated with the bank, but
It's associated with the bank, but bank money has a specific definition, which is money that banks move between themselves. Whereas cash, once you take
yeah.
it out, it's kind of on the fingers. It's not visible anymore. Your bank doesn't know how you spend your cash, and therefore it becomes kind of secret money again, or private money.
Yeah, which is something that is pretty much lost in most cashless societies.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well then, thank you so much for joining. And if anybody wants to work with Montreal, just let them know. Send them a Discord DM. And yeah, congratulations again, and thanks for being our community member of the month.
Thank you very much.
Moving on, let's speak a bit about what's happening in the markets these days. Jasmine, any trends you've been observing or keeping an eye on? Well, not this month, last month in May, and maybe the first week of June.
Yeah, I mean, one of the first things that we saw again, I think it might be the third month in a row now, is that Solana seemed to go down again for I think 4 or 5 hours. And kind of interestingly, they managed to coordinate a restart via Discord. So I think there's still some way to go there before they can call themselves decentralized. But you know,
If
these
their
things,
Discord goes down, they are truly wrecked.
And that
yes.
never happens, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I think the time they reported was a little bit less than last month. So I think they're improving.
Yeah,
um,
improving. But I mean, it's a
improving.
low level
But
your start.
yeah,
Okay, anything else or?
The other thing I was going to mention was this Goblin Town launch on OpenSea, which was a kind of free mint launch of 9,999 goblins. Don't know if everyone's seen these yet, but it seems to be the next craze. I think the current floor price for one of these is about 5 ETH. And their motto seems to be no roadmap, no Discord, no utility, which I think just kind of sums up the NFT marketplace at the moment.
Well, funny enough, there's another project actually I just found out about today. It's called For the Culture, and they actually paid you to mint. They're making it all back in royalties, but somebody brought it up as an idea, and now it's happening. So, yeah, this is NFTs for us, these mans. How about you?
The downturn in the crypto markets recently has kind of created a emperor's new clothes moment for a lot of projects, and obviously a lot of them are collapsing, which is kind of, on one hand, it's good for projects like us because we can demonstrate real value and utility that if we were at mainnet would underpin our value. It's also created or generated a lot of rapid regulation coming in from central governments, and as a kind of a reaction to it. I've seen some examples for example, in South Korea, they're looking at bringing regulation off the back of the Terra debacle. Japan recently passed a bill to limit the ability of private business to hold stable coins. I'd imagine to limit the ability, limit their exposure to sort of depegging events. And New York State recently passed a moratorium on crypto mining. So there's definitely a kind of a direction of travel there in terms of wider regulation, and I suspect that's only going to deepen as we move further into the year. Project-wise, I've started to talk about NFTs. I've kind of come across a project called Icon, and the artists there are all ex-Marvel, and the NFTs they're releasing are part of an overarching narrative. So rather than them being pieces of art for art's sake, or they've actually imagine it's like you own a piece of, I don't know, a Marvel comic type of deal, which I thought was just kind of an interesting take, and it's been interesting to watch it all come together. It's quite an interesting concept.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think, regulations, we're always bound to come after us eventually. I mean, I think at the moment also one of the people insider trading on OpenSea is, facing prosecution, and they're speculating he might face 40 years in prison, which might seem a bit extreme. Or maybe it's just to, make an example of him. Who knows? How about you, Neo, since you're already on the call and on stage?
Yeah, I mean, I would completely agree with what Luke said. I think there's a trend where adoption is increasing, but we are going to go through a pretty difficult market for the next couple of months, or at least that's my opinion. And as for the NFTs, I haven't found any upcoming projects that are interesting, but I've been keeping my eye on the Polkadot ecosystem, because over there's NFTs that have already been minted, and there's updates coming to this project called Moonsama and Exosama NFTs. So these are, I think it's probably the first attempt to a working sort of metaverse where the NFTs are your key to participating in this metaverse. It's going really well. I think for the Moon Samas, it was like there's 2 on sale out of 1,000 minted, and they're worth, I don't know how much it was. It's in Mover, so it's a different currency. But that was really interesting. They're building some really interesting things over there, and I'll keep looking into it.
Yeah, I mean, the metaverse continues being a topic of interest to people. But speaking of that, the thing you keep your avatars in and all your cryptocurrencies are usually wallets. And they seem to be quite the competitive landscape these days, because now even GameStop has released their wallet. And to be fair, it works pretty well in browser. So it's a very decent, DeFi wallet if you want. And also Brave has released their own native wallet, and then there's like hundreds of others. But generally, what are wallets good for? Maybe Jasmine, you could share some on that. And also, is wallet even the right term to describe what it is? Because sometimes you can do a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, so some people kind of think that you keep your crypto in your wallet, but it's actually your wallet that's holding your private keys to your coins, and all of your crypto is actually on the blockchain. So there's obviously various different types. I don't know if you want me to go into those just yet, Naomi.
You can if you want.
Sure. So
just broad called.
yeah, exactly. So I think the most kind of common ones that people use to interact with NFTs and using dApps and stuff would be a hot wallet. So we would consider a hot wallet to be one that's connected to the internet. And so this includes like your browser extensions like MetaMask, or your exchange wallets. And obviously being connected to the internet makes it a lot easier for buying, selling, exchanging, using apps, etc. And then we can split those hot wallets into custodial and non-custodial. So a custodial wallet would be one where you create your wallet through a centralized entity, and they actually keep your private keys for you. So you never see your private key yourself. And so obviously this is a more kind of risky approach in that if the exchange goes down, or if they get hacked or whatever, then there's no way for you to get access to your private keys in order to restore your funds. The other option is non-custodial or self-custody, and that's where you create you get your private seed yourself. So for example, when you create your MetaMask, you're given your private seed, and as long as you store that in a safe place, that means that you can then restore your wallet at a later point. So no one else ever sees your private key as long as you keep that safe. So obviously, with a hot wallet, there's a high risk of attack. For example, with a keylogger, sometimes you need to put your private seed into, you need to type it into your computer, which is connected to the internet. So there's more risk of attack there. Whereas if you use a cold wallets are never connected to the internet. And so you create your transactions online, but then when you go to sign your transactions, that's all done offline using a piece of hardware, for example, a Ledger or a Trezor wallet. So yeah, that's just a kind of quick overview of the different types of wallet. Obviously, with a cold wallet, you have to be kind of hot on security, so keeping your private key somewhere safe, because there's no customer support to go to if you lose it.
On that note, Luke, I think you have experience with having private keys on an exchange and it didn't go so well. So what are you looking for when you pick a wallet, and how do you decide on what to use?
Thanks for reminding me of that, Naomi. Just as I finally got over it, you just pick at that scab and bring it right back. Yes, you're right. I once upon a time had some Bitcoin, presumably still there. Yeah. So that hurt. Empty Gox. Shake my fist at you. What I look for in a wallet, I'm looking for security. I'm looking for ease of use. I'm looking for the ability to recover my account if for some reason keys have gone walkabout. I'm also looking for the ability to put stuff into cold storage. Those are the main things that I'm looking for.
Right. How about you, Jasmine?
Yeah, I mean, I quite like the combination of having kind of combining something like MetaMask Wallet with your Ledger or Trezor, so that your keys are offline, but you can still continue to use apps in the web more easily.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's your take on self-custody? Because as we've said several times, you just can't lose your private keys if you do have a cold wallet and Coinbase. I don't know how high they are in trust now, but they actually released a wallet where people would have some semi-custodial solution where Coinbase would have half of a secret and they would have half, and somehow you could still recover even if you were to forget your keys, to make it a bit more user-friendly, I guess. Yeah, what's your take on that? Maybe Luke, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. For me, it's the only way to be. as we already said, I didn't really give much thought to it. Really, I gave blindly and stupidly all my trust to an exchange at one point, a long time ago, and when that exchange collapsed and decided all my coins belong to them, I very quickly and very sharply got the realization that I can't be doing that and shouldn't be doing that. So now for me, I keep things offline. I only bring them online when I need to, and only as much as I need. And that's kind of a complete 180 that I had on that. And personally, I don't think anyone should be responsible for my crypto other than me, for better or worse.
What about you, Jasmine?
Yeah, I think it's important when you join this space to educate yourself on how to use these new tools, and it is new tech for everyone. And if we really want to go down this kind of decentralized self-sovereign route, then part of that journey is to learn how to self-custody your assets. And so you don't have to overcomplicate things. You just kind of you educate yourself how to use these tools, and then make sure you keep them secure. Tell people that you trust, like close family members, how you're going to back up your seed phrase, so that you don't have to necessarily rely on your own memory. And
Barry
so,
has entered the chat.
Good afternoon.
hello, Barry.
Can you hear me, guys? Yeah, I mean, I think,
You want to say something on this topic?
I do indeed.
assume.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Oh, maybe not.
Or perhaps he sat on his phone.
No.
Maybe.
No.
Well, we shall just continue in that case, and if he comes back, he comes back. Yeah, no, I agree. And I mean, it's also an option to use things like Shamir secret sharing, I think it's how it's called, is a way where you can split your private key, and then you can give pieces of it to family members, people you trust, maybe even an attorney. And then if you have a certain amount of the pieces, you can always recover your seed phrase to make it a bit more, attack resistant or protecting yourself against forgetfulness.
Can you hear me
All
now?
right. Yes, now we can.
Fantastic. I say, I think the thing to remember here is that everyone talks about digital sovereignty, and with digital sovereignty comes responsibility. Minima is all about relying on nobody else. Minimalists rely on nobody for anything else. And that being said, it's up to us, the individual, the minimalists, to take care and look after our own keys and our own coins. And that extends to every part of our crypto life. The best wallet for me is a brain wallet. There's lots of web applications out there where you can put in any seed phrase you like, something that's very personal to yourself, something that only you will know. And then you can add a salt that's also very personal and create a private key and a public key for your wallet. This you're never going to forget, and no one can ever hack it. This is the safest way to be.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I mean, if you want to be truly self-sovereign, then there's no way around not guarding your own assets.
Not your keys, not your coins.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Word.
a thing for a reason. All right. Yeah, thank you for hopping on stage. And yeah, let's take some of the community questions, and I see some that are really interesting. So the first one I think goes to Jasmine because it is on technical things. So how secure is TXPow, which is short for transactional proof of work, our consensus algorithm? And is there a simple explanation of how it works? How would you explain it if you had to explain it to somebody in an elevator?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Or just say,
So we do have
Yeah.
full documentation that you can check out on our website. I think the best kind of comparison to make would be to Bitcoin, which obviously uses proof of work. And so if we take that and then look at how transaction proof of work used in Minima is different, then we can see that on Bitcoin, how that works is that when a user wants to send a transaction, they will create a transaction and that will be sent to a miner. And the miner then does a piece of work, the proof of work, which is some kind of hashing to find a block. And then they are the ones that add it to the chain. And so the difference between that and Minima is that on Minima, when a user wants to send a transaction, they will first create a block. It's actually called a TXPow unit. And within that TXPow unit will be their transaction. And it'll also include other transactions that are not yet confirmed. And then they will do a piece of work to, you can kind of call it mining, do a piece of work to mine their transaction. And then once they've completed that, only once they've done that will they be able to send that across the network for other participants in the network to see. And Minima also, like Bitcoin, has has a difficulty. And by random chance, somebody in the network will meet that level of difficulty for their TXPow unit or block to be added to the chain. So not everyone's TXPow units will automatically be added to the chain, but one every 50 seconds by chance will be. And this kind of TXPow method is a shift from being miner-centric, so where the Bitcoin blockchain is controlled by miners, Minima blockchain is controlled by its users. So every user in the network is contributing transaction proof of work, and therefore the more users we have in the network, the more secure the network becomes. How was that for an explanation?
That was like a skyscraper, I think. But no, I think it was a very holistic explanation. And yeah, it's definitely a shift to how other chains do it, because there you pay with your wealth or you secure only if you have enough computing power, you can actually meaningfully contribute. And yeah, on Minima, it's just everybody who has a phone or a laptop can do a part. And then there was another question, which might be quite interesting to cover, is what is the difference between the MMR, so the database we're using, and the directed cyclical graph?
So I would say that a better kind of comparison would be DAG, which, as you say, is directed acyclic graph, to a blockchain, because it's actually a DAG is not a blockchain. It's a different way of kind of organizing transactions. So obviously with a blockchain, we have transactions which are organized in blocks, and there's one chain where blocks get added to the chain. Whereas with DAG, it's kind of individual transactions that get connected together, but not necessarily in linear order. So you end up with something that looks like, actually in IOTA they call it tangle. So you can think of it as like a tangled tangled chains of transactions rather than blocks. And I guess the similarities between DAG and Minima would be that each transaction contains a small amount of proof of work, and they're both feeless. So Minima is feeless and so is DAG. But there are quite a few differences. Obviously, Minima is a blockchain, and there's still some debate around the effectiveness of DAG and whether it can actually come to consensus in a decentralized way. Because I believe that it's actually more vulnerable to attack as well. With a blockchain, you need 51%, whereas with DAG, I believe it's around 30%. So less secure as well.
Yeah, and so far, no DAG has really caught on. As far as I can tell, in terms of market cap, they're all not really under the top 10, so there might be a reason for that. All right, let's move on. So there was also a question on, how much has already been invested in the project, and are there any major investors? Maybe Luke, you can say a few words about that.
Yeah, happy to. So yeah, we've been through a couple of rounds of investment now, and we're in the midst of closing another, which we'll talk about more in the future. But up to now, I think we've had around about it's about 9 million invested across a couple of rounds. There was the friends and family round at the beginning. There was sort of a Series A type one, which is Blockchain Ventures. It was also in Series A, Vinnie Lingham, Dex Ventures, GSR, AGE Crypto Asset Investment Fund, and SMO Capital. So yeah, there's some big names amongst all of that, and we've certainly got good investment. Like I say, we've got a Series B that's in the process of wrapping up as well, which will be our final sort of big investment round before we get to mainnet.
All right, another question, which I will throw at you is, are you considering a transition to proof of stake in the future? And I think this might be coming because everybody is talking about the merge these days. And yeah.
Well, I guess the short answer is no. And the reason for that is kind of simple, really. Proof of stake was always, in my opinion at least, considered to be an answer to the issues that existed within proof of work. What we have here at Minima is proof of work done in a way that answers the problems within proof of work as is, and it's proof of work is better. It's a better standard, and you talk about the MMR database here, and essentially what we've done is, instead of everyone having to have access to nodes with the entirety of the chain on it, we use the MMR database to make sure that people are looking after only the part of the chains that relate to their own transactions, and that's why we're able to scale in such a decentralized way a proof of work chain. So no, all the work that's got into what we're doing, I don't ever see a need to move to proof of stake.
Yeah. Anything to add from your side, Jasmine?
I think I would just add that proof of stake doesn't really, it's not really decentralized. It's more of a kind of, those who already have get more, and rather than, making it so that it's accessible for everyone to contribute to the construction of the chain.
Yeah. And Barry has entered the chat again.
I mean, it's a shame that Patrick is unwell today. Otherwise, he would definitely have jumped onto the stage at this point. Proof of stake is subjective. Proof of work is objective, and that's the bottom line of it. Proof of work is, takes work and investment to secure what is valuable, and proof of stake takes nothing. It just takes an agreement between the stakeholders. And it rewards the larger holders over the small. Far inferior. Discussion ends.
Yeah, and I mean, it's also why a lot of the existing proof of stakes chains are controlled by VCs at the moment. And how a blockchain can be restarted through Discord. Yeah, I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. And all right, next community question. Luke, so it seems it's very difficult to register for Chinese. Are there any plans to add a translated version to the registration website?
Always something that's a possibility. We're in the middle, or the midst at the moment of reworking the existing one that we've got, and once that's live and up and running, then potentially you can look at that localized version. What I would do is I'd invite you, Sunjun, to reach out to me. I'd love to hear what specific issues you're having, so that we can make sure that when we get to look at that for you, that we're doing or making the changes that you're looking for in that community, rather than what we think you want. So yeah, please, I welcome you reaching out, get in touch.
We are always open for feedback, so any things you want to see changed, just let us know. And then also, maybe for Jasmine as well, will the Android app have an auto-update feature? I think that's one of the things people like to ask, because everybody forgets to update things.
Yeah, definitely. So one of the things we're working on for the next release is being in the Google Play Store. So it should receive updates when there's a new version. And also we are working on adding push notifications to the app, so that we can notify you when there is a new app available. I'm not sure if Luke wants to expand on any of that as well.
No, yeah, you got it in its entirety. That's absolutely right. Once we're in the Play Store, when we push a new code, a new version, and the version number changes, you'll get notified to make that update.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, that's definitely one of the questions, and it will also make it a lot easier for people, I'm sure. But on that note, a lot of people are also asking, not everybody is an Android owner, when is the iOS going to come out?
Yes, we get the question a lot. According to our timeline, it will be Q1 of next year. So obviously that's something that the community is asking for. I think, as we've mentioned before, one of the challenges with Apple is that they're much stricter in terms of allowing processes to run in the backgrounds on phones. So we're kind of working with them to come up with a solution.
All right, yeah, absolutely. I mean, in the meantime, there's always an option to run, of course, on a laptop or a server, but the end goal is, of course, to have it run on phones, because not everybody can carry their server around or their laptop. And now to one of our favorite questions, probably for you, Luke. What kind of KYC can we expect at TGE? That's a question we get asked a lot.
Absolutely, especially as we're getting closer and closer. It's a great question. It's a fair question, and the honest answer is we're looking into it. We're working out exactly what that's going to look like. It's likely that there's going to have to be some sort of KYC, but we don't know exactly what that's going to look like yet. And unfortunately, my answer hasn't changed on that since the last time we all spoke. It is being looked at. We hope to have a firm answer on that very soon, and for it to be as little as is required for what we need to do to get mainnet up and running, essentially. But as I've seen written elsewhere, as soon as we have those firm answers for you, you will all be the first to know.
So it is work in progress. As soon as we know, you will see it on all our channels. We will make sure of that. And yeah, another one, as we get closer to mainnet, is of course the question, when exchange? So when will you relist Minima?
Yeah, another good question. Yeah, so obviously we saw earlier in the last month we went on to got our sort of initial listing on CoinMarketCap, which is where people will be able to see all the information about how we're doing overall going forward. I believe CoinGecko is there or thereabouts as well, and there's other larger, big exchanges that we're talking to and plan to list on. But until I have the nod from the commercial team to talk about that in any great detail, I'm afraid that's the most I can say at the moment beyond we will be listing on known named exchanges. Yeah, as soon as we can talk more about that, we will.
Yes, and we also just got some questions in the Stage Questions channel. Which is funny because we are speaking about wallets, so it's a perfect one. Do you plan to make your own decentralized wallet, Jasmine?
Yes, of course, absolutely. So we are currently testing internally the new mini DApp system, which is very exciting. And this will include a wallet mini DApp, we call them. So mini DApp is a decentralized application on Minima, and a wallet will be one of those. And with that wallet, you will be able to create custom tokens, you'll be able to create NFTs. Obviously, you'll be able to hold your Minima, send, receive. And in terms of a marketplace, that will be another kind of mini DApp that we hope a community can develop, because obviously as the Minima team, we have limited developer resources. So we're kind of focusing on building the core mini dApps, and then we would invite developers to build whichever applications they feel are most valuable for them.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, Minima is a foundation for anything to be built on top. So once we have out the new, the versions where you can build on top, then it's open to everybody. Then another question is, there's a question in terms of when we expand Minima to all devices, how will the work be arranged? Do you plan to cooperate with big companies in this direction? Luke, I will have you answer this.
Well, I mean, we already are. We are dealing with large companies and corporations on the partnership side to integrate, our protocol, our project with their products. But again, we're embargoed on that at the moment. But when we are able to talk about them specific businesses, you will know who they are, and it will all make sense. The use cases are perfect for what we're doing. But beyond that, ultimately, what we are building, as you've said, Naomi, is a protocol, an ecosystem, and it's up to the community to build, whether that's individuals such as yourselves here, or larger groups or businesses deciding to work with Minima as part of what they're doing. It's up to them, and of course, if they want to work with us, we will. We'll explore that.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's also probably what our Discord server is for people to find each other as well. If you have an idea like Montreal just shared earlier and you would like to get involved, just hit him up. And I think we will see more of that going forward. I might have an idea myself, who knows? Another question that might come up a bit, just so people know what to do. Simon on Discord said that he's noticed a problem with the referral program. Some referrals simply do not count, although they have their node running and working. And it's not just him, but other people seem to have the same problem. Is that something we're working on? If this happens to somebody, what should they do?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Frustrating for you. It's an ongoing problem that we're aware of, where nodes that are otherwise up and running are not necessarily reporting correctly, and we are working to solve that. I think if people are looking at the node graph recently, they would have seen that big jump that happened not too long ago, and that's because we managed to get everything to report at once. But since then, we've still got issues where some nodes are not reporting correctly. I suppose the important takeaway for you guys and girls is that we're aware of the problem, we are working on it, we should see that get resolved with the next release, but in the meantime, please do keep running your nodes. It allows us to help work the problem, and crucially, nobody will miss any coins. So what we will do at the next version release is we'll look at everyone's nodes, what they've got, how long they've had it, and we'll make sure that any incentive rewards or invitation rewards that are due to you are given to you, so you will not miss out.
anytime you're worried, feel free to reach out, and we're happy to look into your node or your status and make sure that everything is working as it should be. Yeah, and I think we are also getting closer to the end, but I believe, Luke, you had something to share as well. So now is your time.
Yeah, now's my time to shine. Yeah, so we've been talking a lot about the next version, and I mentioned at the top that we've been working this month at what the next release will look like. And I'm happy to say that next Friday, which I think is the 17th of June, we will be releasing to the ambassadors a in-development version of our next versions. So Minima, Maximum, Mini DAP distribution server or MDS applications. They will be native apps in Android and hopefully available through the Google Play Store, all going to plan. And with that, you will be able to connect up to the incentive reward account that you have as before, but crucially, you'll have access to things like our native wallet that we were mentioning earlier on, Blockchain Explorer, there's a chat app in there, I believe, and a few other treats for you to have a look at, and crucially, you'll be able to start building things too if you want to. That'll be a possibility. So yes, that's next Friday. That should be coming to you. And although we're not looking for direct feedback from you guys, it's more for you to get a look behind the curtain at what's coming as a reward for everyone's hard work within the Ambassador Programme. And we're really excited to be able to get that to you.
We will, of course, accept feedback if you do have some. And on that note, I think we've recently also gotten a lot of questions to make certain comparisons to other blockchain ecosystems. So if you would like us to compare Minima to another blockchain, just let us know. So the next one in the pipeline is Mina versus Minima, because there's been a lot of questions about that. But if you think another blockchain should also be part of this series, then just tag me in the chat and tell me, and I will make it happen. And yeah, on that note, thank you everyone for joining us today. We will leave the stage questions channel on for a bit longer. So if you have questions you still want to ask us, feel free to put them in there. If it's just general questions about your rank or ID, please use other channels. And yeah, thank you very much for joining and have a great week.
Everyone, good to speak to you.
Thank you as always, Nemu, Neo, Jasmine, all of you. Look forward to speak to you all again soon.